Hey guys, it's Wes Pruitt, and when you are listening to the first episode of the Tigers Den, where we talk all Memphis Tigers all the time, on tonight's episode, we're going to recap what was last week in the American Athletic Conference Media Blitz. Who said what? What are our thoughts on it? Jason Patterson joins me tonight. Also, we're going to preview the 2023 Memphis Tiger football as camp is getting ready to start this week. Four Star will have folks at camp day one. All that and more in tonight, right here on the Tigers Den, presented to you by Four Star Sports Media.
My guys are grizzlies and tigers, baby. We animals and we don't lose. We give you the blues when you come to us. Be ready for war. We lacing up. You better bring the whole army with you, cause in Memphis here we don't play a bluff. This Memphis, we come to lose. We here to win. Pay your dues. Otherwise, I got bad news. What you came to do? Get the boys the blues. 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 What you came to do? Get the boys the blues.
And welcome to the opening show of the Tigers Den. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Patterson. I'm here with Wes Pruitt, and I'm getting a little bit of chills, man, because talking season's here, the blitz is over with, and football practices in 36 hours. Fall camp starts. We're here. We made it.
We're here, man. And I mean, Jason, here's the thing. We're going to talk all Memphis Tigers. You are watching and listening to the debut episode of the Tigers Den, where it's nothing but the 901 Memphis Tigers. Jason, just to give you a little recap, man, I'm putting this shirt on tonight. This shirt is from the 2013. This is a scheduled shirt. For the folks that are listening, this is a scheduled T-shirt from 2013. I don't even think teams do that anymore. Remember, back in the day, everybody did it. But this is the season that started the what is now 9 consecutive bowl games for the University of Memphis. And as a matter of fact, Jason, I'm sure you know this, but Memphis is now one of only 9 teams to do that. Can you tell me who those 9 teams are?
No clue. No clue at all, my man.
Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma State, Georgia, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, and the University of Memphis Tigers. They started the bowl streak in 2013. They've now extended it out now. So 9 straight bowl game appearances.
Nice.
Something that the Memphis fan base, in my opinion, should be quite proud of.
Also, folks, don't pay attention to the Arkansas Razorback flag in the background. My allegiance, it kind of sways both ways a little bit. So don't sit there and call me an Arkansas homer trying to talk about Memphis sports. I can promise you that I can hold my own. So just bear with me, all right?
Not a problem, man. Jason, last week was the last Monday and Tuesday was the American Athletic Conference Media Blitz. Monday was very nonchalant, more of a formality. Tuesday was an absolute gauntlet of coach after coach after coach after coach. I believe Mike Oresco took the podium at 8:30 a.m. Memphis head coach Ryan Surfield spoke at 9:55 a.m. Central Daylight Standard Time. And but Jason, I mean, you watched it last week. I've gone through it as well. Before I give my thoughts, what were your thoughts on just the way the American runs their football conference media days?
I honestly feel that they do not give their coaches a platform to promote their team, their school, also the conference as a whole. They don't give them that large of a platform. If you look at Arkansas, Alabama, Auburn, hell, Vanderbilt. Clark Lee comes up to Vanderbilt, and he gets a good solid 15, 20 minutes for his opening statement. Not for the whole time, his opening statement. He gives you a rundown of the team. He gives you a list of the players that you need to watch. He gives you every talking point that can help you understand his football team. The AAC gives your coaches 15 minutes tops. You got 5 minutes for an opening statement. You got 10 minutes for questions, or 10 and 5. That's it. And if the AAC wants to continue to promote their league, and I hate to say it this way, but if they want to go into the big boy football, they have to give themselves a platform that helps themselves moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you look at it, of course, now with the new teams coming in, I mean, you add Charlotte, you add UAB, which I'm very happy to see UAB and Memphis continue that rivalry. It's been withstanding for years now. You add these teams in my opinion, you should now separate it into 2 days, give everybody their due diligence and a chance to speak. But when you look at what Silverfield last week, Jason, he spoke on Tuesday, as I stated, at 9:55 a.m. Did you get a chance to listen to what Silverfield had to say?
I did not. I was on vacation last week. Once they were over with, I am not going to lie, I kind of tapped out. I did get to watch the majority of the press conferences, I think for more like awe more than anything else.
Yeah.
But as far I did not get to circle back on Silverfield's press conference.
So Memphis was picked by the media to finish 4th. When you look at Memphis historically in the conference, we have finished where the media has picked us since the conference was incepted in 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, Memphis has finished to pick where the media picked them 5 times. They have only moved up or finished better, I think, once or twice. And other than that, they've dropped 3 times. They were picked to finish 4th, and one of the media members asked Silverfield, they said, hey, how do you feel about where you're picked? And he said, I'll be honest with you, we got to get back to the Memphis Tigers of old, and we have to earn the right to be picked number 1 or number 2 in the conference. And right now, we're not playing good enough football to be there. I felt like Silverfield spoke with a lot of confidence, a lot of strength, and a lot of optimism when it comes to the Memphis Tigers in 2023. He had a really strong next man up mentality. But when you look at this football program, Jason, last year 7-6, beat Utah State pretty handedly in the First Responders Bowl. We're going to talk about a stellar quarterback coming up here soon. That's really, I think, going to be a catalyst for an offense that, and we'll talk about it as we get closer to the season, but an offense that, Jason, I think is quite loaded talent-wise, and a lot of the talent came from the portal.
Yeah, it did. I do want to put one disclaimer out there really quick. South Florida fans, I am not mad that I pissed you off. I said what I said, and I meant it. Your coach came from a position of weakness and not strength. I understand that their football team is going to suck this year.
It's not
that's what he said too.
Yeah.
And there were some folks that got their ass hurt, and that's fine with me. I'm cool with that. And that tells me y'all care. And that's what they need, is they need fans that care.
Yeah.
And you're the ones that also deserve and earn the right to sit there and beat your drum when South Florida gets good again. And I'm cool with that. Okay. But at the meantime, take your lumps. That's in the story. Yeah. That's just all there is to it. If you want to be the man, go beat the man. Go beat, UTSA and Jeff Traylor. Go beat Silverfield and Memphis. Go and hell, Rice is going to be good this year. Memphis, my God, Tulane, for God's sakes. Go beat them. When you can beat them, then start beating your drum. But until then, get off my Twitter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was, Alex Golis was, he was interesting, man. With South Florida, but I thought the guy that made the most noise was the one from Charlotte. The coach from Charlotte was pissed off that they received 64 votes total for the entire deal, and he let the media know. He was pissed off. His team was pissed off. Every freaking interview that guy did, he took a chance to take a direct shot at the media that was there, that was not there, that thought about talking about Charlotte. Memphis, the Tigers played 3 teams for the first time in program history this year: Bethune-Cookman, Boise State, and Charlotte. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a little concerned about going to Charlotte. I know people may laugh, but I know they wasn't good last year. But they're pissed off, Jason. They are pissed off right now in Charlotte.
And they should be, because when you don't get that much respect from a conference, and a conference that's up and coming. I mean, you cannot sit there and say that they're just a group of 5 when you have your best team go out there and beat the dog poo out of USC in the Cotton Bowl.
Man,
sorry, that's what it is.
And then 3 of your teams now just left to go to the Big 12.
Exactly. So if you really want to take some shots. That's cool. But at the same time, I mean, I understand where, Charlotte's coaches came from. I understand what he was saying. And even though he thinks that his team is going to be better than a lot of people think, that's the guy that you want in your corner, because they're going to come out and they're going to hit you. They are going to scrap. They are going to gut punch you, and they are going to make your 60 minutes of football a living hell. They might lose, but they're going to try to make sure that you limp off the field. You ain't walking off. You're going to try to limp off.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. One thing, just keeping a Memphis theme, but one thing that I was really impressed with Ryan Silverfield is he made the statement that the standard at Memphis is to win the conference every year. That standard has not changed. No matter what the final outcome of the season is, that is the standard. That is one of the standards for this football program. That really stood out to me as a statement of Ryan Silverfield, owning the fact that he understands that he's got some fans in Memphis that are pissed off. He understands it. But the fact that he has not changed his mentality, it's the same mentality he's had, as he stated last week, for his entire now 9 years, 8 or 9 years now at Memphis, because keep in mind he was there with Mike Norvell was handcuffed.
Yep.
Nothing has changed. He has continued to keep the same mantra that Norvell had. So, in my opinion, when you hear a lot of Memphis fans, and yes, for those of you that listen to my show, I am critical of the fan base. I am, because I call them out on things that are stupid in my opinion. Get mad if you want, it's fine. But when the fan base says, "Oh, I want Norvell back," do you? Do you want Norvell back? Do you want the guy that beat SMU and stood there on ABC and said, "I'm a proud Memphian," and then turned right around the next day and was in Tallahassee, Florida, having a meeting?
How's that working out for him?
Or on the phone having a meeting? Silverfield wants to be. Silverfield's happy to be. You don't believe me? Go back to the Navy game last year. Go to 4star.live. There's an article about it right now. Go read it. Go watch that football game. Go watch the emotion in that head football coach when that game was over with. That win had nothing to do with the football program. That win was for the city. That is a football coach that, in my opinion, the fan base needs to get behind. Right now, at Memphis, Ryan Silverfield 16-4 at home. 16-4. 3-11 on the road. That's another topic for another podcast, but that's going to have to change. He's got to win on the road.
The commonality with Ryan Silverfield or Willie Fritz, even Mike Norvell, and honestly, even Rhett Lashley over at SMU. The one thing that you can take away from each one of those coaches. Jeff Traylor also. It's
Great
not
coach.
only do they not feel that they should win, they expect to win.
Yeah.
And when you expect to win, that type of confidence is spread across the team. That's
100%.
where, excuse me, that's where, where Ryan Silverfield, he didn't really continue what Norvell was doing. It's that he himself is ingrained that type of culture in his message and his teaching and his, day-to-day interactions with the players, that the expectation is to not win, but win the most, win the championship, be on top at the end of the day. That's where Memphis got it right. That's continued. Where that looks to in the future, we don't know yet. That there's some things that still need to be hashed out there in terms of possible realignment. That's a different story for a different day. There have been some things that have been put out there. Myself have been one of them, and 4-star. But what I'm saying is that whenever you have those expectations, you're going to get the year in and year out top 3, top 4 preseason standing, because you've already set that bar so high that everybody knows exactly what they're going to get.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at this Memphis program, Jason, I've made the statement that they're running back you. In my opinion, I haven't found too many programs around the country that have produced guys like Darrell Henderson, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, Antonio Gibson, all in a short time span.
Yeah.
But that's a talented group of teams, right? Group of players right there. And at the same time, Jason, I mean, right now Memphis has 16 active NFL players. 16 active. Damn. So I mean, that's an impressive stat for quote unquote little old Memphis. So, but Jason, when you look at the takeaways from last week, I feel like the American did a good job for their complete media blitz and just running through coaches through buzzsaws to get through the day.
They have to stretch that out, though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they've
to.
got to, man. They've got to expand it to 2 days, because I mean if you expand it to 2 days, you give the coaches time, you give the players time, you give the media for that matter time, to get in town, to get some things going.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said earlier, man, I thought Silverfield really spoke with confidence, optimism. He's excited. He is ready. This football team's hungry. And talking to some incoming recruits for the 2024 season. They're excited too.
The reason why I keep holding up 3 is because that was the amount of questions that a handful of coaches got for their entire 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There were a couple of coaches that cut that crap off at 10 minutes, and that was it. They didn't have anything else to do. I mean, they were sitting there like they're holding an empty bag of Skittles.
Yeah.
They're like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'll go get it refilled. Okay, I'm going to head out here now.
Yeah.
It's like,
out of there, man. It's crazy. And like I said, I think that you can alleviate that entire issue if you just expand the media days to 2 days. It helps everybody. Like I just said, helps media, helps the venue, helps the conference. I mean, I would think everybody would thoroughly enjoy it. I would like to see Mike Oresco also possibly make a little statement prior to each coach coming up to the podium.
Just like Greg Sankey does.
Yeah, I mean, then I'm not trying to just steal straight from the SEC, but I mean, just things to make it flow better, make it more of an event. I understand it's media day, it's made for the media, but you've got to make it an event for the coaches and the players at the same time.
Well, and if you have to make it a spectacle. If you make it a spectacle, then that's when you start to get more eyes. Whenever you're the best, you're going to have people that are going to emulate you. You're going to have people that are going to follow you in your footsteps. Just because you're doing something that they're doing doesn't mean it's wrong. They might be getting it right. You're just trying to do the same damn thing.
Exactly. You're 100% right, man. 100% right.
And I think that if you have a venue, like if they moved it to the Frisco Star Cowboy training facility
Mhm.
and had it there, and you
Yep.
had a little bit more glitz with it.
Yeah.
And hey, you know what, Cowboys organization, throw me a bone here. Help
Yeah.
me out a little bit. This is what I can do. What can you do for me?
Pollard's on the team right now. There's a very easy connection that can be made there.
Yeah. And also getting more media in the seats too. That also helps as well.
Yeah, I mean there was numerous comments last week about the number of people that were there from the media. I mean, I'm fully transparent here. We will be there next year in person at the American Athletic Conference.
I watched the SWAC, man.
No question.
The SWAC had 16 media members in their conference.
I noticed that the Sun Belt Conference had a great contingency for their meeting.
Sunbelt, not SWAC, Sunbelt. My bad. It was Sunbelt.
Yeah.
I was watching Matt, dude. He kills it, but no, I'm telling you, they have got to do something a little more glitzy, a little more popish.
Yeah,
as far as
spruce it up a bit.
make it sexy.
There you go.
If you make it sexy, you're going to want to watch it because you're going to want to be a part of it. So I got to get off of that.
You can bring sexy back. I mean, there's multiple correlations that can be made. Multiple correlations that can be made.
You know what? Forget Mike Oresco. Let's just bring in Justin Timberlake. We'll just let him DJ the whole damn thing.
Look, man, get this guy on the phone. I got some ideas that would really, really boost the conference. I believe.
Oh my gosh! All right, so speaking of bringing sexy back,
yeah,
Seth Hennigan named to the Maxwell Award preseason list. This is a guy that honestly he tore it up. I was looking at his stats, and the one thing that really stood out to me was he threw for 274.8 yards a game last season.
Yeah.
Now, if you take one throw, one completion of 25 yards, he is now a 300 yard a game passer. That separates you from the haves to the have-nots.
quickly.
And not only does that put him up on a national stand of up there with the SEC, the ACC, whatever the hell's left of the Pac-12-ish. I mean, you might as well call it the washed-up conference.
Yeah.
Big 10 or the Big 12. That puts him right on the run with each one of their top players as well. With his legs, he does run, but he does it effectively, not all the time. So if you substitute one run, if he can hold the ball for a half a second longer, make a move, and get him up to that 300 yard a game passing, I'm going to tell you what, man. You're going to start to see him on more watch lists.
Oh, no question. I mean, Phil Steele's got him ranked number 38 quarterback in the draft eligible quarterback in the country. I think that's pretty respectable. I think it's damn respectable, to be honest with you. I mean, when you look at in recent memory, Paxton Lynch coming through Memphis, obviously Brady White, and what he did. Speaking of Brady White, he's the all-time yardage leader, passing yards for the University of Memphis, and Seth Hennigan is creeping very close to breaking that record. In my opinion, he will do it this season. Currently, right now, he ranks 5th all-time in attempts with 839 and completions with 521. He has 6,893 passing yards, and he's starting his junior season. 47 touchdowns and a .621 completion percent. Seth Hennigan's an incredible quarterback. And it's funny, man. So I know you know the story, Jason, but Grant Gunnell transferred into Memphis from Arizona. Well, 2 seasons ago, Grant Gunnell was going to start the first game. He got injured. Out trots the redshirt freshman at the time, Seth Hennigan. Well, now the 20-year-old is he will become the youngest third-year starting quarterback in the FBS this season.
So I'm going to pivot to this for just a second because they scored 35 points a game with him under the center as a sophomore. They won 7 games. Now, if this is correct, which it should be, I'm trying to look at his stats here. Here it is.
Memphis as a team
He threw
averaged
in
422.3 yards per game last year, which ranked 72nd in the country. They ranked 37th in the country with passing yards per game with 280. Rushing dropped dramatically. Not good. Only 142.2 yards per game. That's got to increase, and I think it will. That's another podcast. But yeah, I mean, when you look at Seth Hennigan, man, 22 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions.
So he's almost at a 3-to-1 ratio there.
Yeah.
And that was what I was going to bring up, because if you say, for instance, and I know this, I'm going to catch hell for this, and I'm fine with it. Arkansas with KJ Jefferson, he had 4 interceptions last year, of which 3 of them were either at the end of a game or at the end of a half.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Seth Hennigan steps in as a third-year starter. KJ is going to be a third-year starter this year. What I'm saying is that I think Seth can make that transition from that 8 interception into a 5 or below. Now, if you get him to 5 or below, if that happens, that's the difference between a 7-win team and a 9-win team.
No doubt.
Because
I mean, you can look at the schedule. Man, you look at the schedule. That's a whole other ball game. You look at the 2023 schedule for Memphis. It is lining up to be. I'm not trying to segue directly into what we're going to talk about next, but it's lining up to be quite favorable for the Memphis Tigers, for sure.
Yeah, and yes, Bethune-Cookman is a competitive team. Are they a cupcake? I mean, not necessarily. You're gonna have your they're gonna give you hell for a half, at least. But if Memphis is what they think they are, they should take over that game in the second half pretty easily. Now, here's the thing. Is you want to see the maturation of the offense and the defense from game 1 to game 2, because that's where you're going to make your largest strides. I've talked with Pat Jones before, former NFL and college coach. I've talked with whoever you want to talk about, with David Cutcliffe, for instance. The largest differences that you see in a football team are from week 1 to week 2, because they're able to go in there and say, hey, we've got live fire that we've seen these guys under. We know how they react, and now we can adjust our game plan to what they do right the first time when they're seeing live bullets. Now, the competition steps up in game 2, but when you have a returning starting quarterback, that is probably one of your most prized possessions that you want to make sure you keep healthy all 12 games.
Oh, yes. I mean, and, fall camp starts Wednesday. We posted a thing on Facebook. Al Bloodworth, former Memphis Tiger, former guest of the show a couple times as well, also a good friend. But Al brought it up, and Al's 110% correct. If you can make it through fall camp healthy, if you can make it through fall camp injury-free, which I understand you're going to be bumped, bruised, that type of thing. But you're looking at Memphis has currently won 9 consecutive home openers.
Yep.
Looking to make it 10. Like I said earlier, first ever meeting with Bethune-Cookman ever. But then you turn around and you go on the road that second game to a place that the last time you were traveled there, you were in an absolute freaking barn burner. We were there. Matter of fact, that was 4-Star's first media credential for Memphis with that Arkansas State 2 seasons ago. Mm-hmm. And it's called the Paint the Bucket Bowl. Tigers have won 4 straight, won 5 out of the last 7. But the 55-50 game 2 years ago was an absolute barn burner. And I think that you're going to see a similar type of game this season with a much, I think, going to be much improved Butch Jones, our led Arkansas State.
That's what I was going to kind of pivot to there for just a second, because there's not too many times that Butch Jones gets his butt handed to him. And then 4 years in a row and it's like, you know what? Well, that's just something that happens. No. That's just not in his DNA.
Right.
So you've got Arkansas State in week 2. I think that Memphis should take care of their business there, even
Yeah,
at
I
Arkansas
think
State. But crazier things have happened. But it should. I'm going to say this is probably going to be within a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
But
I think the Tigers are obviously very highly favored in the first game. I think they're favored in the second game. Now, that's another thing that Silverfield has got to do a little bit better job of. I mean, there's a lot of Tiger fans that do gamble on games, and the against the spread crowd does get a little feisty when Memphis plays all these close games. When you look at the schedule, you got Bethune-Cookman September 2nd, at Arkansas State September 9th. You come home and play a Navy team. Going to be a little bit of a new offensive wrinkle there.
That is home conference opener too.
Yes, exactly. Conference home opener. We seem to always play Navy for that for some reason. Then you've got 2 games that I think are very important prior to a huge bye week. You travel.
Man, I hope they beat the hell out of Eli Drinkwitz, man. Forget that guy.
I know, man. Arkansas fans hate him. So,
God.
But here's the thing. Memphis fans.
I hated his ass when he was in Springdale. Anyway, moving on.
Memphis fans are not happy about this game because, yes,
they're not Springdale.
Memphis is getting paid
$1
million for the 1.5, whatever it may be, for the game, correct? Right. That's great money, whatever. But you're giving away a home game. That just it makes no sense. But anyway, you got Missouri and St. Louis. This will be the first meeting with Missouri since 2018. Memphis
Talked
is
to Arkansas about that. They have that problem too.
Yeah. Tigers are not real good against Missouri. Got to get some wins against them. And I mean, like I just said, Silverfield 3-11 straight up and against the spread in away games. 3-11. So that's something that's got to improve for this Tiger football team. But then you take on Boise State, second team to come into Liberty Bowl.
That's
for the first time ever. September 30th, going to be a huge ball game. Also, they will also be honoring 2003 Memphis football team, which obviously, as everyone knows, was the one that won the New Orleans Bowl, led by D'Angelo Williams and running back Danny Wimpront at quarterback. Many other great football players on that team, including, which is not really talked about, but which including an incredible defense led by some incredible linebacking. But they will be honoring that team on September 30th, as well as that will be D'Angelo Williams Day. So they'll be doing a special thing for D. We will be there as well. 4-Star will be there for that game. So that, Jason, if you can, that's 5 games, right?
Yeah.
If you can somehow, some way, worst case scenario, come out of the first 5 at 4-1, and then you've got a huge bye week, and then you play Tulane on a Friday night at home, and that's the ticket. If you can win, and I know, but if you can pull that off, and then you look at the rest of the schedule, Memphis can be potentially. Let me put that in. Potentially, you could be looking at a possible 11-win season for Memphis. 10. I know. I'm just saying. Looking at the schedule, once you get past that Tulane game, besides SMU on November 18th, there's not too many games. I mean, yes, Temple's a pain in our ass, but there's not too many games that are just jumping out as look out.
Okay, you've got three. This is a really hard stretch too. These 3 games between Missouri, Boise State,
It's tough,
and
man.
Tulane. But
That
here's
is
the
a
thing.
perfectly timed bye week, by the way. Beautifully timed bye week.
I almost, from a conference perspective, it is. But from a season perspective, I would almost want that bye week between Missouri and Boise State, because if you beat Missouri, team's up here. Man, it's riding a high. And Now you're looking at Boise State, but now you're looking at a bye week and you're looking at Tulane. And I'm not saying that you can't keep the focus, but when you beat an SEC team and then you follow it up with a stout Boise State team, I mean, damn, man, that's really hard to do. And on an SEC's perspective, that's not bad. That's good. But the thing is that when you're looking at Memphis and you're looking at the AAC and you follow that up with those 3 out of 4 week games, that's really
let me
tough.
add another wrinkle into the Tulane game. Memphis and Tulane will both be coming off buys.
See, and now that's not a smash you. We're gonna just take it over. Now you've got a chess match. That's
what I'm
the other
saying.
part.
Like that bye week, I've
you
been
give Willie
talking
Fritz
about
an
it for a
extra
few
week.
weeks. It's massive. Man. It's massive, man. But then after that, you got at UAB, which will be the first meeting since 2012.
That's a
got
win.
Trent Dilfer, good friend of the show, Brian Moss, works for 24/7 Sports, Tiger Sports Report as well. Interviewed him at Media Days, asked him about Ryan Silverfield, straight up
He
said,
was salty.
No question, salty as crap, straight up said, this is a direct quote, I want to beat their ass. That's what he said. Direct quote from Trent Dilfer. So you got at UAB, then you turn around, you take on at North Texas. Yeah. Some say that could be a trap game based on last year's game. I don't feel like it is. Then you've got
because you got South Florida because they're the Vanderbilt of the AAC.
then you've got at Charlotte, the game we talked about. Then you've got SMU, definite threat, and then you finish up with Temple. I mean, Jason, just the fan side of me is going to say 8 wins on the season. And the other side of me is going to say 9. I'll go 9 as my max. But like I just said, man, looking at the season, the first 5 are huge. You beat Bethune, you go back over to Jonesboro, you take on a feisty team. If you're 4-1 out of those first 5 games, you come off that bye. Somehow you can knock off defending American Athletic and Cotton Bowl, New Year's Six Bowl champion Tulane, who's going to be good this year too, folks. Let's not shake the stick here.
Yeah.
If you can get past Tulane right there, it's shaping up potentially to be a very special season for what I think is a very specially talented team, Jason. I think, and we'll get into the roster the next few weeks, but we talk about the quarterback tonight. We'll get into running backs and others, but on all 3 sides of the ball, there's talent. Silva's doing it really with the portal. You look at the flag behind you right there, Jason. There's some Arkansas Razorbacks that are now Memphis Tigers. And one of them was Simeon Blair, and he was at the AAC Media Days. And
sure was.
They are very excited about him, Reed Bauer, and also Marcus.
Yeah, Simeon did a great job representing the school. It was a big loss for Arkansas. We, wanted to see him come back. It didn't happen. I want to be able to see him do great things moving forward with Memphis too. And you can already tell that he is by getting selected by Ryan Silverfield to represent the school before he ever played it down. So that tells you about the character guy that, that Memphis got, which is great. Going back to the schedule for just a second, the one thing that I did want to point out is that you have a point where you only have 2 consecutive road games on the schedule. That's it. Nothing else, just 2. At UAB, then at North Texas. And that really shapes up well for a coach because now you can get into that rhythm where, for instance, if you got 2 home games at home, and then you got 4 road games, and then you got 1 and 1 and 1 and 1.
Yeah.
That right there is hard to kind of get a rhythm because now it's, okay, now we're at home, now we're away, now we're at home, now we're away. When you get those types of trends with an athlete in their body clock, it is easier for them to adapt to that on a week in and week out basis when they know, okay, this is what I have to look forward to. No, this is what I have to look forward to. And because their body does that now for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
That in their whenever they do that with their preparation, that helps them set themselves up for success long term.
No question. No question. But I mean, Jason, as far as the prediction for final record, like I said, I mean, eight wins, 9. I think 9 ceiling. I think low mark, no less than 7. No less than 7. I mean, I'll just call a spade a spade. If there's anything less than 7 wins, I think there's probably a chance. I mean, based on this schedule, based on the team, based on talent, all that. I mean, this football team is primed and ready for a good season. It's about time. I think when you look at the recruiting classes that he's been building since he's been here, this is kind of the year that everybody's kind of had an eye on. But then by the time you bring in Seth, we've been talking about it all night. Talk about the portal effect for Memphis. It's taken away, but man, it's really also boosted this roster quickly. I'm telling you, man, I think low ceiling is 7 wins. I think high ceiling is 9 or 10.
The only thing that I worry about is, and that is something that teams have had some problems with here in the last year or two, is if your starting quarterback goes down. Where does your offense go after that? Now you've got
directly to Tevin Carter, and I'm glad
Tevin Carter,
because I think Tevin Carter. I think you'll see him sprinkled in here and there this season. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much longer Seth's going to be. So you've got to get him ready. You've got to get him sprinkled in. And I think Tevin Carter. I mean, I know Tevin Carter is the future of Memphis football at the quarterback position. Dual threat quarterback. True Memphis kid. We interviewed him last year as well. He hates bugs. He let us know that last year. He said after he finished college, he was going to start a bug killing company because he hates bugs.
I don't know where to go with it after that.
I'm just saying that. Yeah. Hell of a good kid. Just incredible player. And I mean, I follow him on social media. We talk back and forth. When I tell you this kid is in the room learning film, in the film room, 5 o'clock in the morning, man, this guy's in the room. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, he's still there. He is watching.
Does he hate bulls?
I know he hates bugs. I don't know. That's all I know.
It's a big
Carter's pest control, I guess. Carter's pest control, maybe. I don't know. Pinpoint, maybe it's quarterback. Pinpoint pest control, maybe. I don't know. Tevin, if you're listening to the show and you want to use that name, it's fine. But
maybe he could start a slaughterhouse near South Florida. Get them guys too. I'm gonna poke that bear. Dude, I'm gonna poke that bear all year long.
Some of those guys on Twitter the week of the South Florida game and see if I can get them on.
Dude, I'll go toe to toe. I'll tell you what, they won't know what hit them either.
But Jason, man, it's been a good night. The opening night of the Tiger Den here on 4-Star Sports Media Radio Network. I am Wes Pruitt. Got Jason Patterson in the house with me tonight. Great opening night, man, to really dive through, to kind of dissect the American Athletic Conference media days last week, and then kind of start digging into this Tiger football team a little bit. Next week, the show will air on Tuesday, which generally through the season, that's when it'll air. But we're planning on talking not just Tiger football, Jason. We're talking it all, man. We're talking Tiger football, basketball, baseball, softball. May have some other information on softball coming up. But Jason, we broke a little news. What was it, about a month ago, I guess?
Sure was.
We teased it on Twitter, little Will Ferrell thinking face. But it was officially announced today. The University of Memphis women's basketball program and the University of Tennessee women's basketball program will meet again starting in 2024. The game will take place on November 13th in Knoxville with a return date TBA because it's being played at the FedEx Forum. So with it being played in the Forum, of course, the Memphis Grizzlies have, scheduling conflict, whatever. So you got to get that lined out. But big news from the Memphis Tiger women's basketball program. Brand new head coach, Coach Sims. It's going to be a lot of fun. That team's going to be fun to watch this year, Jason. But yeah, a little bit of news there on the Memphis women's basketball home front. But Jason, it's been a great show, man. For myself and Jason Pattison, all of us here at 4 Star Sports Media, you've been watching and listening to the Tigers Den, where we talk all Tigers all the time, right here on 4 Star Sports Media.